The leather chair squeaks under me as my father slides the folder across the polished mahogany table. The lawyer's office smells like old paper, leather-bound books, and expensive decisions made in rooms like this for generations. Outside the window, autumn leaves drift past 40 stories of glass and steel. My heart pounds so hard I can feel it in my throat, but I keep my face blank. Neutral. I've been practicing this expression my entire life. The house, the lake property, the investments, Dad says without looking at me. His eyes stay fixed on Sienna, sitting across from him like a princess at her coronation. They'll all go to Sienna. My mother squeezes my sister's hand like she just won the lottery, like she's receiving an award for simply existing. Sienna smiles, that familiar satisfied smile I've seen 1,000 times growing up. The one that says she's won again. The one that says she was always going to win because the game was rigged from the start. You've always been independent, Dad continues. His voice flat and clinical, like he's reading off a grocery list. You don't need help. You've proven that. Mom leans forward, her diamond bracelet catching the afternoon light streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Each stone probably cost more than my first car. And you should be grateful. We paid for your college. That's more than enough. Some children get nothing. I flip open the folder with steady hands, though my fingers want to shake. Page after page of property deeds, investment accounts, trust fund details, rental properties I didn't even know existed. Numbers with so many zeros they blur together. My name appears exactly once, buried on page 7 under a single phrase typed in cold legal font. No claim. 28 years of birthday dinners where Sienna got the better gift. 28 years of Christmas mornings where her pile was always bigger. 28 years of being told I was lucky to be so capable, so independent, so able to handle things on my own. And this is where it ends. With 2 words, no claim. My throat tightens, but I swallow it down. I've had 28 years of practice hiding what I feel. Of smiling through disappointment. Of pretending it doesn't hurt. You're right, I say softly, closing the folder with a gentle click. They both relax visibly. Dad's shoulders drop. Mom exhales. Sienna actually laughs, light and airy and relieved. Like this was easier than she expected. Like maybe I'd fight. Like maybe I'd cry. But I don't give them the satisfaction. I stand, smooth my skirt, and shake the lawyer's hand. He looks at me with something like pity, but I don't acknowledge it. When I walk out of that office, my heels clicking against marble floors, I already know something they don't. Something grandfather taught me before he died. Something I discovered buried in old documents late one night when I couldn't sleep, when I was trying to understand why he'd structured things so carefully. They didn't give everything to the right daughter. They gave it to the one who would teach them the lesson they needed most. Sienna announces it at dinner that same night, raising her wine glass like she's accepting an Academy Award. The chandelier above our heads casts golden light across the table, making everything look warmer than it actually is. The china gleams. The silverware sparkles. Everything is beautiful and expensive and hollow. I'm quitting my job, she says, laughing that carefree laugh she's perfected over 26 years. Why work? Dad's transferring the condo into my name next week. The penthouse overlooking the waterfront. Can you believe it? My parents beam at her like proud gods watching their favorite creation come to life. Dad's chest puffs out. Mom clasps her hands together like she's watching a child take their first steps. Finally, Mom says, her voice warm with approval. You deserve to focus on yourself. You've worked so hard. I cut my salmon into small, precise pieces. The knife scrapes against the porcelain, a tiny sound that somehow feels loud in my head. Each piece exactly the same size. Control in small things when everything else feels chaotic. Are you sure that's finalized? I ask quietly, not looking up from my plate. The table goes completely silent. Forks freeze mid-air. Wine glasses stop halfway to mouths. Dad's fork pauses halfway to his mouth. A piece of asparagus balanced precariously on the tines. He smiles, but it's tight. Defensive. There's an edge underneath. Everything's airtight. My attorney handled it personally. Everything was filed correctly. Why would you ask that? Just curious, I say, taking a slow sip of water. It's a big transaction. Lots of paperwork. Well, it's done, he snaps. Completely done. Good, I say, meeting his eyes for just a moment. That's good. Sienna watches me with narrowed eyes across the table, trying to read me like she always does. Looking for cracks in my expression, for some hint of jealousy or anger. But I've gotten better at hiding. Much better. Years of practice have made me an expert at the blank face, the neutral tone, the smile that means nothing. I excuse myself 20 minutes later, citing an early morning meeting with a new client. Nobody questions it. They never do. My work has always been the acceptable reason to leave, to miss things, to prioritize something other than family drama. In the parking lot, I sit in my car and pull out my phone. The leather steering wheel is cool under my palms. My hands are completely steady now. One text to my attorney, typed carefully, each word chosen with precision. Need verification on trust clause compliance. Urgent. Specifically Section 12D. Please review beneficiary tax status. I don't drive home right away. Instead, I sit there in the dark, engine running, heat on low, hands steady on the steering wheel, breathing slowly. In through my nose, out through my mouth. The meditation technique my therapist taught me years ago when I finally admitted that maybe being the independent child had damaged me in ways I hadn't wanted to acknowledge. 'Cause nothing is airtight. Nothing ever is when my father's involved. He cuts corners. He assumes. He lets lawyers handle details without reading them himself. And grandfather knew that. Which is exactly why he wrote the trust the way he did. My apartment downtown is quiet at night. 17 floors up, floor-to-ceiling windows. A view of the city lights that stretches for miles. I bought it myself 3 years ago when my startup's first contract cleared. My parents never asked how I afforded it. I pour tea and open my laptop on the glass dining table. The documents are exactly where I left them, organized in encrypted folders with date stamps and digital signatures. Trust documents I quietly copied 6 months ago when Dad left his briefcase open during Thanksgiving. I scroll to Section 12, subsection D. There it is, typed in legal language that most people skip over, boring and dense and easy to miss. Inheritance contingent upon financial responsibility and ongoing tax compliance of all beneficiaries. I pull up Sienna's public records. She's sloppy with privacy settings, always has been. Instagram posts from Turks and Caicos, designer bags, cryptocurrency investments she brags about to her followers. But her LLC filings, 3 years late, her personal tax returns, delinquent notices from the IRS, buried in documents she probably doesn't even read. If the trust is triggered improperly while she's in violation, the entire estate freezes under protective review. That's what grandfather designed it to do. Back when he still believed in teaching lessons through consequences. I close my laptop and stare out at the city. I won't interfere. I won't need to. I'll just let the rules do what they were designed to do. 2 weeks later, Sienna's engagement party fills my parents' backyard with white lights and champagne laughter. The garden looks like something out of a magazine, every detail perfect, every rose trimmed. Sienna raises her glass under the pergola, her ring catching light like a tiny supernova. To finally being appreciated, she announces. Everyone cheers. I clap politely from the edge of the crowd. Mom appears beside me, her perfume sweet and cloying. You could look happier for your sister. I'm happy, I lie. Dad leans over from his conversation circle, lowering his voice so only I can hear. You'll always land on your feet. She needs more help. I smile at him. Really smile. I know. But across the lawn, past the ice sculpture and the champagne fountain and the string quartet, I notice someone watching. The trust's accountant, Marcus Riley, standing alone near the catering tent. He's not eating, not drinking, just watching Sienna with an expression I recognize. Concern. He catches my eye and gives a small nod. Professional, Careful. Nod back. He knows something. And soon everyone else will too. The condo transfer paperwork becomes public record on a Tuesday morning. Sienna posts about it immediately. Her Instagram story full of champagne flutes and congratulations. Hard work pays off. She captions a photo of the property deed. I'm at my office when my phone buzzes. An email notification forwarded from my attorney. The trust's compliance department has opened a formal review of recent distributions. My father calls me 43 minutes later. His voice sharp and furious. Did you say something? I'm standing by the window, watching traffic 17 floors below. Tiny cars moving in perfect patterns. I didn't have to, I say calmly. Silence stretches between us. I can hear him breathing, can picture him gripping the phone tighter. What does that mean? It means the trust has rules. And rules have teeth. He hangs up without saying goodbye. I return to work, but my hands are shaking slightly as I set the phone down. Not from fear. From something else. Something that feels almost like justice beginning to wake up. The review escalates faster than anyone expected. By Friday it's a full audit. The reason hits the family like a freight train nobody saw coming. Sienna used estate funds to invest in cryptocurrency. $60,000 that she claimed was for home improvements went into a memecoin called Moondoge. It's now worth $800. Dad insists it's temporary, that they can sort it out, that the trust should be flexible for family. But when all distribution accounts freeze pending investigation, reality sets in cold and hard. Sienna calls me 9 times that night. I don't answer until the 10th. You knew, she hisses. You knew this would happen. I knew the rules existed, I say. I didn't know you'd break them. This is your fault. No, I reply quietly. This is consequences. She hangs up crying. I sit in my apartment, tea growing cold beside me, staring at the city lights and feeling nothing. No satisfaction. No vindication. Just waiting. Because this is only the beginning. Sunday brunch is tense. The restaurant is too bright. All white tablecloths and uncomfortable silence. Sienna doesn't come. Dad barely touches his eggs Benedict. Mom corners me near the bathroom. Her voice low and urgent. Could you help Sienna? You understand finance. I look at her carefully. Really look. For the first time in years, I see past the makeup and the pearls and the practiced expressions. See fear. I offered before, I remind her. Multiple times. When she started the LLC. When she mentioned the crypto. Remember what you said. She looks away, uncomfortable. That was different. Was it? Her hands twist her napkin. She's your sister. And I'm your daughter. Mom flinches like I've slapped her. She opens her mouth, then closes it. For the first time in my entire life, I see doubt in her eyes. Real doubt about the choices she's made. She doesn't apologize. She just walks back to the table without another word. But something has shifted, small and irreversible. The trust attorney, a woman named Catherine Ward with silver hair and zero patience for nonsense, delivers the news in person. Sienna's tax irregularities violate fundamental distribution rules. If she doesn't correct 3 years of delinquent filings within 30 days, the trust enters protective status. What does that mean? Dad demands. Catherine doesn't blink. It means assets are placed under neutral third-party control. No distributions. No exceptions. Until compliance is restored. Dad's face goes red. He slams his palm on Catherine's desk hard enough to make her coffee cup rattle. This is bureaucratic nonsense. This, Catherine replies coolly, is your father's last will and testament. Sienna cries into her hands. Mom looks at Dad like he's supposed to fix this, like he's always fixed everything. But he can't. They both turn to look at me, sitting quietly in the corner chair. I say nothing. I've said enough. The silence that follows is the loudest sound I've ever heard. The renovation contractors file lawsuits within a week. Sienna promised them payment from estate distributions that no longer exist. They want $43,000 for work already completed. The condo transfer is legally paused pending resolution. Sienna storms into my apartment without knocking, her face blotchy with rage and tears. "You did this," she screams. "You turned Dad against me. You sabotaged everything." I'm making tea when she arrives. I don't stop. The kettle whistles softly. "No," I say, my voice calm and measured. "You did." "How?" "By assuming rules didn't apply to you. By taking money that wasn't yours for investments you didn't understand. By filing taxes late because you were too busy in Turks and Caicos to care about paperwork. I'm your sister. And that should have mattered," I say, finally turning to face her. "When I needed help. When I asked for advice. When I graduated with honors and nobody came because Sienna had a spa day scheduled." She stares at me, mouth open. "But it didn't matter then," I continue. "So why should it matter now?" She leaves shaking, slamming my door so hard the frame rattles. For the first time in her life, Sienna is accountable. And she has no idea how to handle it. Dad collapses at his office on a Wednesday afternoon at 2:47 p.m. I know the exact time because that's when my phone rings. The paramedics say it's stress-induced, blood pressure through the roof, heart working overtime, body finally giving out under the weight of consequences he didn't see coming. I get the call while I'm in a client meeting, discussing quarterly projections and growth strategies. Professional, controlled, exactly what I've built my life around. I excuse myself immediately, drive to the hospital with my hands tight on the wheel. The city blurs past. Traffic lights feel like they take forever. I realize, somewhere between the third red light and the hospital parking garage, that despite everything, I'm terrified of losing him. The emergency room smells like antiseptic and fear. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. People in scrubs move with practiced efficiency. I find Mom and Sienna in the waiting room. Mom's makeup smeared, Sienna's hands shaking as she scrolls mindlessly through her phone. The financial strain becomes real immediately. Insurance complications surface because Dad switched policies last year to save money, trying to stretch the frozen estate funds. Forms need immediate signatures. Medical history documentation is missing. Pre-authorization for procedures hasn't been obtained. Sienna sits in the waiting room, completely overwhelmed and paralyzed. She keeps standing up, sitting down, standing again, wringing her hands, looking at Mom like Mom should know what to do. But Mom is just as lost. She's never handled this kind of thing. Dad always did, or paid someone else to do it. I quietly take charge. I call the insurance company and navigate their labyrinthine phone system. I locate the documents in Dad's email and have them sent to the hospital's billing department. I speak with the billing coordinator, arrange payment plans, negotiate rates, sign guarantees. The doctor thanks me before leaving, his hand warm on my shoulder. "You're the responsible one, I can tell. Your father's lucky to have you." Mom hears that from her position by the water fountain, still in her tennis clothes from earlier. White skirt, pink polo, diamond studs catching the harsh hospital lighting. Our eyes meet across the sterile hallway filled with beeping machines and whispered conversations. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't need to. But her expression shifts like tectonic plates moving underneath the surface. Like she's seeing me for the first time. Really seeing me. Not as the daughter who doesn't need help, but as the daughter who helps when it matters most. The daughter they didn't invest in. Who invested in herself. Who became exactly what the family needed but never appreciated. Grandfather's estate board calls an emergency meeting 2 weeks later. 6 members, all gray-haired and serious, sitting around a mahogany conference table that's probably worth more than my car. They inform my parents in clinical, professional language that if mismanagement continues, they may appoint a financial executor, someone neutral, someone qualified to protect the estate from further harm. One of them glances at me, then another, then a third. Dad stiffens in his chair. His jaw clenches so hard I can see the muscle twitch. "That won't be necessary," he says tightly. Then you have 60 days to demonstrate improved fiscal responsibility from all beneficiaries, the board chair responds. Otherwise, this decision moves forward. The meeting ends. In the elevator, nobody speaks. Sienna stares at the floor numbers lighting up one by one. Mom clutches her purse. Dad won't look at anyone. I stand in the back corner, hands folded, breathing steadily, watching my entire childhood unravel in real time. The board offers 2 formal options at the follow-up meeting. Their words are cold and final. Option 1. Continue under frozen review with monthly compliance audits. No distributions until Sienna's 3-year tax mess is completely resolved. Option 2. Appoint an independent fiduciary to manage the estate during restructuring. Someone with proper credentials and no emotional attachment. Dad refuses both. His pride won't allow it. Sienna begs him not to give up control, her voice high and desperate. Daddy, please. We can fix this. How? He snaps. How exactly do you plan to fix 3 years of ignored responsibilities? He has no answer. Just tears. The board chair sets a deadline. 30 days to choose. After that, they choose for the family. I watch silently from my chair. The board members glance at me occasionally, their expressions measuring, calculating. They know something Dad doesn't want to admit. The solution might already be in the room. It hits the local business journal 3 days later. A short article buried in the finance section. Estate trust enters protective review after compliance failures. No names mentioned, but anyone who knows my family immediately recognizes the details. Sienna's fiancé's family reads it over breakfast. His mother calls that afternoon, her voice tight with concern about inheritance stability and financial planning compatibility. The engagement doesn't end, but it freezes, suspended animation. His parents suggest waiting until everything settles. Code 4. Until we know you're not marrying into a financial disaster. Sienna blames me. Again. She shows up at my office, demands to know if I leaked the story. I never spoke to the press, I say honestly. Then who did? Public records are public, Sienna. That's what the word means. She leaves in tears. But this time when she tells Mom what happened, Mom doesn't immediately defend her. Instead, she asks quietly, "Would you have handled things differently?" "Yes," I answer simply. Mom nods slowly, like she already knew. The wedding postponement becomes official 2 weeks later. Not cancelled, just indefinitely delayed, until finances stabilize. Sienna breaks down at a family dinner, sobbing into her napkin while her salmon goes cold. "He's leaving me," she cries. "Everyone's leaving me." For once, Mom doesn't rush to comfort her. She sits still, hands folded, looking older than I've ever seen her. She asks me later, when Sienna has locked herself in the bathroom and Dad is outside taking angry phone calls, "Would you have handled things differently?" The question hangs between us like smoke. "Yes," I say. "How?" "By thinking past next week. By understanding that money isn't free, that estates have rules, that our actions have consequences. We thought we were protecting her. You were enabling her. There's a difference." Mom's eyes fill with tears, but she doesn't let them fall. She just nods once, sharp and quick, like accepting a verdict. The board officially suspends all discretionary distributions. My parents must now live on Dad's pension and a small monthly allowance from the trust. Comfortable but not extravagant. No more spontaneous trips to Europe. No more new cars every 2 years. No more unlimited credit cards. Dad calls me late at night, his voice rough and tired. I don't understand how this spiraled so fast. I'm in my apartment, working late on a client proposal. The city glitters below me, all those tiny lights representing lives and choices. It didn't spiral, I say quietly. It followed rules. This is what happens when rules are ignored for too long. The consequence doesn't build gradually. It lands all at once. Silence stretches between us. Your grandfather designed it this way, he says finally. Didn't he? Yes. To punish us. To teach you. He hangs up without another word. But 15 minutes later I get a text. Can we talk tomorrow? For the first time in years my father is asking, not telling. I reply. Yes. The board approaches me privately the next week. A conference call with 3 senior members. Their faces serious on my laptop screen. They need someone competent to restructure the estate. Someone who understands finance, who won't make emotional decisions, who can implement the accountability measures grandfather intended. It must remain within family if possible, the chair explains. Your grandfather's wishes were clear on that. Why me? I ask even though I already know. Because you're the only one who's demonstrated consistent financial responsibility. The only one who hasn't violated trust provisions. The only one who seems to understand what this estate was meant to do. Which is teach, not just provide. I don't answer immediately. I let the silence sit heavy and full. I need to think about it, I say finally. They give me 1 week. Mom visits my apartment on a Sunday morning, early, before the city fully wakes. No phone call. No warning. No text asking if it's okay. Just knocking on my door with 2 coffees in her hands. The expensive kind from the place downtown that she usually only visits with her book club friends. She looks different. Smaller somehow. Tired in a way that makeup can't hide. Her hair is in a simple ponytail instead of the usual salon-perfect style. No jewelry except her wedding ring. We sit on my balcony, 17 floors up, watching the city wake up below us. Morning light turns everything gold. Birds circle between buildings. The coffee steam rises between us like ghosts of conversations we've never had. We always believed you didn't need support, she says quietly. Hands wrapped around her cup like she's trying to draw warmth from it even though it's not cold out. You were strong, capable, independent. You got good grades without us pushing you. You found jobs without our connections. You solved problems without asking for help. Sienna wasn't like that. She needed us. That doesn't mean I didn't feel it, I reply, my voice steady but soft. Honest in a way I've never been with her before. Feeling invisible. Feeling like an afterthought. Like I had to earn love through achievement while Sienna got it for free just for existing. Feel what? Mom asks even though I think she knows. She just needs to hear it said out loud. Alone, I say simply. I felt alone in my own family. Like I was the supporting character in someone else's story. Like if I stopped achieving, stopped being capable, stopped handling everything on my own, you'd notice I was gone. Mom's hands shake slightly around her coffee cup. A drop spills over the rim onto her lap. But she doesn't wipe it away. We failed you. It's not an apology. Not quite. Not the words "I'm sorry" that I've wanted to hear for 28 years. But it's the closest she's ever come. An admission. An acknowledgement. You prioritized the child who demanded attention. I say, not unkindly. Just truthfully. I understand why. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. The child who cries gets comforted. The child who seems fine gets ignored. It's human nature. But that doesn't make it hurt less. What do you need from us? Her voice breaks slightly on the word need. Honestly. I take a sip of coffee, thinking about all the years I've spent figuring out what I actually need versus what I've trained myself not to want. I don't know anymore. I've spent so long not needing anything from you that I'm not sure what it would look like to need you now. We sit in silence for a long time. The coffee grows cold in our hands. The city gets louder as morning traffic builds. Life continues around us while we sit in this moment of painful honesty. Finally, Mom asks, her voice small and uncertain. Will you help us fix this? Not the estate. The family. I don't know, I answer truthfully. But I'll think about it. She nods, stands slowly, sets her coffee cup on the small table. That's more than we deserve. It's the first honest conversation we've ever had in my entire life. And I realize, watching her leave, That maybe it's also the first step toward something that could eventually become real. Sienna's cryptocurrency investments officially default 3 days later. Her portfolio, once valued at $60,000 on paper, crashes to less than $300. If the estate hadn't frozen when it did, if distributions had continued, that loss would have come directly from family assets. Millions in exposure. Millions that would have disappeared into digital smoke because my sister trusted a coin named after a dog meme. Dad realizes this while reading the financial report. I watch his face change, watch understanding dawn cold and complete. The freeze didn't punish Sienna. Protected everyone, even from themselves. For the first time in my life, my father says 3 words I never thought I'd hear. I underestimated you. We're in his study, surrounded by leather books and the faint smell of cigars. The room where he's made every major family decision for 30 years. It's not dramatic. No tears. No raised voices. Just quiet admission. I thought being a good parent meant making things easy, he continues. But your grandfather understood something I didn't. What's that? That easy isn't always kind. He looks older now. Grayer. Smaller somehow, sitting in his massive chair. Will you take the position, he asks. The executor role. Yes. I meet his eyes. Hold his gaze. On my terms. With full authority. No interference. Agreed.